Hello and welcome back to Daily Dose of Egyptian. Today we continue on with the tale of the Shipwrecked Sailor, columns 59 to 60. We begin. Chetu her gemgem, ta her menmen. So, just a few initial observations here. The first and most important being that you can see quite clearly laid out a parallel syntax of these two sentences, namely being pseudo-verbal sentences or pseudo-verbal constructions, wherein the sentence quite plainly is just a subject, a preposition, and an infinitive. But what's interesting is that these infinitives, namely gem-gem and men-men, are both four-lit or quarte literae verbs, which are composed of reduplicated stem. So in the first instance, the reduplication of gem, and in the second, the reduplication of men. Now, we'll explore a bit more of that later on. So we have the timber was sort of being destroyed. Because gem-gem, in its most common instance, means to destroy or to obliterate. It has that strong sense because of its reduplicated stem of gem. Gemi to sort of damage. But right off the bat, you'll see that this chet here is written quite strangely, especially in the hieroglyphic transcription, where it actually has 4 strokes, which you would not see in the hieroglyphic. However, in the hieratic, this actually makes a lot of sense, because you simply have the default writing of chet, and then to make it plural, the scribe has added plural strokes. So it's just something that looks strange in the hieroglyphic, but isn't that uncommon in the hieratic. So the timber was being destroyed. So to illustrate the meaning of gem, I have from the admonitions of Ipuwer the following phrase. Indeed, or sincerely, something like that. The chests of ebony, so the ebony chests. Note that I've transcribed ebony in this way because it's written with group writing. The chests of ebony were destroyed. Gem here is a passive. Now, clearly the woods aren't being completely obliterated to smithereens. So we have to take this as some sort of poetic license, where exaggeration is used to indicate the intensity or the ferocity with which the timbers are perhaps snapping from force. And then we have, and the ground was shaking or moving, presumably some sort of earthquake. Now, men means literally to sort of move or move quickly. You might think of, for instance, menmenet, meaning herd, as an illustration of that principle, where herd is something that moves quite a bit, maybe a bit loudly. And an illustration of this word in just common use, outside of this literary, rather florid language, is from the letter of Iri Persen from Ilahun. It writes, look, you were saying, and this sort of speech marker functions as quotation marks, if you will. Look, you were saying, this hour or time, Collier and Crook also give the option to translate pecheret here as a kind of troop, so sort of an hourly troop or something like that. This time, lacuna, is approaching quickly or something like that. It's not quite clear what the syntax demands teken be. But men here is, in this context of Iri Persen, is being used in a kind of figurative way. And perhaps this is how we should say that it's being used with the ta, wherein it's being used in a literary way to indicate the rapid moving of the ground, that is, an earthquake.